All right, hello folks, Shadow Gauge here. Welcome to my first tutorial ever. I'd like to give shout outs to Sophia Indigo, my daughter. I think about you every day and I hope I hear from you soon, girl. Anyway, dispensing with the heavy shit, I'd also like to give a shout out to Il Gates and the Producer Dojo for helping me get my music to where I feel it needed to be. But one of the things I have noticed there being a lack of on the internet is really how to write a proper progression, a proper chord progression for electronic music. Now, one of my go-to pieces of software for doing this is a piece of software on the phone. It's literally called Chord Progression Reference. This is what it looks like. Hold it there for a sec. Yep, changing things. Anyway, so if I go into this, I've already picked two chord progressions, basically two 4-part progressions. I'll go ahead and play the first one here. It should play it off the phone. And so that's the first one. Here's the second one. Anyway, somewhat along that lines. I'm sure you heard the notes. It makes it useful to be able to go through and hear what the progression sounds like. So when I put that progression down, this is the first one. This is the second one here. I'll go ahead and just change that to gray. So if you look at this, I mean, they're very... These are zombie chords. These are ghost chords. They don't sound bad, but they don't sound good. So if we listen to what the progression sounds like, I'm going to go ahead and hit play here, cross my fingers, hope it's not up too loud. So it sounds good. That's not a bad sounding chord progression. However, it is a very generic chord progression. In general, we would want to go in and, of course, add your bass notes, because what I'm going to be teaching you here is basic SATB formatting, which means 4 voices: soprano, alto, tenor, bass. So our chord progression is going to be set up the same way. And then we're going to split that chord progression into multiple different channels with multiple different voices. So basically, I have already done this. So this is version 2 of the tutorial, because it's the first tutorial I ever did, right? Anyway, so if we go here, first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have 4 voices for each of these parts. Notice some of these only have 3 voices, some of them have 4. That is because this is a 7th, whereas this is not. So I'm going to go ahead and add that 4th voice, which I'm just going to repeat the bottom one here. So in this one, it's an A. If I go here, this one is a D. So let's go ahead and put that there. And then that one's, that one's a 7. So I'm not going to do anything to that one. And then I'm going to go over to this one. And I've already done it on this one, as you can tell. So there's the repeated bottom notes. However, it's somewhat generic. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this out now so you can see what I brought this to. I'm going to go ahead, move this over here, and replace it with this. Now, just so I can show this a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and combine this. I'm going to go ahead and consolidate this. Okay, so now this is what the difference between the two. So if you draw a line right here down the middle, okay, that separates them. So basically for the first one, all I did was move that there. Okay, simple, easy as peasy, right? Second one, let's see. Second one I remember having a little more issues with, because I'm going, okay, I don't like the way that looks. Maybe I can shift this down here. No, that just doesn't work, So I think my best bet here is maybe I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. I'm going to go ahead, Control C this one, move it. Oh, too many spaces down. No, that wasn't. See, I don't like where that one went. So let's see. Yep, no, I don't like that. Let's Control Z back there. Let's see. So that's where I was originally at. Let's go ahead and let's double up on the E. Aha, that's where I was. So, let's go ahead. put this, ta-da, ta-da. Yep, yep, uh, doing this efficiently, I promise. Anyway, let's get rid of that one because we're keeping it to only 4 voices. On the next one now, the thing is okay, so if we're playing chess here, this is an illegal move. You cannot pass, I'm basically taking my soprano and moving it past the alto, which means I'm taking my alto and moving it past the soprano. And you just don't want to do that. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it sounds better if you don't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, let's see, what did I decide here? It looks like I decided to move this one down, and I kind of looks like I decided to move this one down as well. So there we go. And that's not the same as what I came up with. You see, that's the thing about this is you may not come up with the same answer twice, which is why this method is beautiful when you're writing chord progression, because you just start off with a generic chord progression and then just start kind of moving it around till it looks a little prettier. And really, that's all there is to it. So this one, obviously, okay, let's move that down there, and let's see. So there's 4. Let's see, I think my final choice here was to move this one down. Aha, yep. Yeah, that looks like what I decided. Anyway, so there. Now, those two are the exact same. However, that's a little bit generic, isn't it? I want to switch up on that second part. So let's go ahead and, let's see, did I ruin that second part? No, I did not. Okay. So if we go ahead and I'm going to make this one blue again because the one before was blue. Trust me, it was. I mean, that's blue, right? Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and put this here. Now, I basically did the same thing again. So there's my part 1, and this turned into this. Okay, so again, double blah, 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 added the extra bass at the bottom, go in and be like, okay, there's the A, and then, okay, there's the D. There we go. So now I'm back to my basic 4-voice zombie chord. Okay, but I added a little switch up on this, so I basically went through and rearranged them again, just like I did the first time, but a little bit differently. So what I wound up with, if I put these together, is this. Now this is the exact same chord progression, just different inversions. So, it sounds pretty, a lot better than it originally did. I think I played it originally. Yeah, I did. Originally, it sounded rather generic, if I recall. Now it sounds like it has some personality to it. And of course, I did the same thing with the last voice. And to keep it in, sorry, I said last voice. I did the same thing with the last part, so my B part. I'm just going to keep it in regular, standard techno layout. So, oh wait, what am I doing here? I'm doing this wrong is what I'm doing here. Okay, so copy that. Did my mouse just, oh, you got to be kidding me. Okay, fine. Apparently my mouse decided it wanted to quit working on me. So there we go. That is a proper progression. If I hit stop and I hit play now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this down a bit because I did notice a slight bit of clipping on this bass. Note. Beautiful. Okay, so, and after that, that's obviously on my piano. I, don't want to really use a piano for any of this, but that's basic instructions on how to take some zombie chords that sound okay together, but are rather generic, and make it into something that actually sounds decent. Now, the other part of that is, what do I do with this? I mean, that's a chord progression, but how is that useful in electronic music? Well, let's go ahead and open up the rest of the file here. And if you notice, I got these nice little separators here. I'm going to go ahead, turn this off, and then basically explain these parts. Now, the first one here is same chord progression as what was up there. Exact same. Just consolidated, brought down. Now, for the arpeggiator, I did something a little bit different. I basically, I only want to use 3 voices for the arpeggiator. I don't want to use the full 4 voices. So I deleted the bottom note on a lot of these. Some of them, I went in and deleted other notes. I mean, I basically just, again, went to try and make the pattern look pretty. Give their nice separation between all the voices. Try to make sure there's not too much space between any of the voices. And, that's what I came up with. So after that, I, of course, take and you copy the chord progression over to all of these channels. Here's my soprano, my alto, my tenor, and my bass. And then I have my sub at the bottom. Now, originally, all of these were the same chord progression. I went into the soprano and I deleted all but the soprano note. You go into the alto, delete all but the alto notes. You go into the tenor, yada, yada. When everything's said and done, I added a sub at the end, and I kind of just randomly chose the synthesizers. I made sure to tune them, or made sure to level them before doing the video again, because the first time it was just hectic, loud craziness, and it didn't really sound very good on the end product, and I wasn't sure if there was any way to fix it. So I made sure to fix it before I did it beforehand. But rest assured, all of these were just randomly chosen, except for my sub, because I always use the same sub. Anyway, this is what it sounded like when everything was said and done. And now you have a beautiful breakdown. It's can take things in, pull things out, switch things around. You actually have a large amount of building blocks to do some however, it's a paint by numbers system in a lot of cases. And yeah, I hope that helps you to understand basically how a chord progression is written. I just honestly, I guess I got tired of seeing the, buy my MIDI pack. I'm like, man, as a producer, I'll use other people's samples. In general, I'll chop them up and put them in a sampler and make sure they don't sound anything like the original. But for MIDI, man, I don't know about using somebody else's MIDI. I'm kind of, if I'm doing a remix, okay, fine. But, in general, I'm going to make my own MIDI, and learning how to do this, learning how to write my own chord progression has made my life so much easier. And in my personal opinion, it makes my music sound way better. I think this is probably the only tool I learned in the 1.5 years of music theory I took that actually expanded on my knowledge. Everything else seemed to corral me. And I didn't really like being corralled. This took something that was corralled because I was basically writing zombie notes because I didn't know any better, and taught me how to turn them into something that sounded, I'm impressing myself here, and I'm not the easiest person to impress, to be quite honest. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you. Go ahead, drop a like and a subscribe. And, Sophia Indigo, you're my little girl. I hope you find this. I hope you see this, and I hope you reach out to me. God bless. Everybody have a beautiful day.